different sexes have different brains.
So no, that's not true, and I'm going to rip it again because that's funny. So if a neurosurgeon was looking at two different brains, they wouldn't know who was assigned male at birth and who was assigned female at birth.
While I'm not an expert of neurology myself, I have an eerie suspicion that her judgment in this matter is clouded by a prior political commitment. This is evidenced by her use of the rather clunky phrase, assigned male at birth, or assigned female at birth, instead of plainly referring to a person as male or female. Now, whether the statement in question is true strongly depends on what is meant by assigned. There are many things doctors learn about a baby when it's born, like its height, weight, and blood type, but these aren't so much assigned as they're acknowledged. Other things are in fact assigned at birth, like the baby's name, for instance. To assign something normally implies the imposition of an arbitrary label. So is sex one of those things that is assigned, or is it rather acknowledged along with the other biological parameters? To state the obvious here, it's the second one. That doesn't mean that there's never been a doctor who made a mistake when assessing a baby's sex, but in most cases, a glance at the genitalia gives a clear enough answer. But some people are intersex, you say. That's true, of course, but that doesn't prove that there are many different kinds of sexes. Disorders of sexual development aren't evidence of a new sex category, any more than disorders of the cardiac or respiratory systems are evidence of new kinds of hearts or lungs. So is the statement true, that there is no way to tell the difference between a male brain and a female brain? Only if the brains in question were assigned their sex completely randomly by a doctor without eyesight. But in a sense, by calling it assigned, you've already denied the underlying biology of sex differences. The simple fact is that men's and women's bodies differ in all sorts of ways, and the brain, being part of the body, is no exception from that. It's well-established science that women's brains have greater volume in the prefrontal and orbitofrontal cortex, while men's brains have more development in the ventral temporal and occipital regions. I'm not really concerned with these trivial differences, but what should be of great concern to everyone is when scientists let their research be corrupted by their political biases, such that they feel the need to lie about the data. It's a popular notion among the educated that it's only the body that can be described as having a nature, but not the mind or the psyche. There's no denying that people's bodies differ in terms of height, weight, and hair color, but on a psychological level, it is claimed, we're all born the same. Any differences between people must be explained only as the result of upbringing or cultural expectations. The human mind is basically a blank slate without innate properties. It's obvious why this theory is so popular. It's because it seems to be morally superior to claims of biological differences, which may be used to justify discrimination based on sex and race. This concern is not without reason. The Nazis have happily embraced the pseudoscience of phrenology to establish a racial hierarchy. But it's a mistake to assume that our commitment to political equality rests on biological sameness. These scientists treat the notion of equality as if it were an empirical claim about biology, when instead it's a moral principle that says we shouldn't prejudge people according to the average characteristics of their group. In fact, it's dangerously counterproductive to base political equality on biological sameness, because what happens when the facts inevitably trickle in? What if an honest scientist stumbles upon the fact that some group, on average, has poorer spatial reasoning? Should our reaction be, well, okay, I guess bigotry was right after all? No, of course not. Nor should we encourage scientists to lie or hide data that disprove political dogma. Science and truth are far too precious to be sacrificed on the altar of political correctness.